Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, fine, good. Thank you. So if we have gone through that, the demo sessions, we are understanding that the development teams, testing teams roles, and then operation engineers roles. But all these teams, whenever they are working us in the integration process and the delivery process, they have some communication gaps. Because of these communication gaps, it is have that impact on the deliveries and deployment process and on-time delivery. That was challenging. But how that can be overcome thus is by automating all these activities, all these team members' activities, especially repetitive activities, whatever they are doing that by the development teams, testing teams, and operation teams. If you are able to automate it, understanding their requirements, and we are going to helping them. So we are going to coordinate it, all the teams which are involved in the process model. That is the role we are going to perform. That's not an easy role. Why they are okay to give it 12 lakhs, 15 lakhs, or 20 lakhs if you have the good exposure on these DevOps process models, and if you give the solutions on this. Yeah, they are ready to give that the high packages. But why? We should understand the team's problems, especially manual activities and repetitive activities, the challenges which they are facing, and as well as problems which we have this in the delivery or the deployment models. So if you identify and if you come back with the solutions, then you are a DevOps engineer. But what are those like main the activities that will be handled? What are the project? It doesn't matter that whether the Java project or whether that is .NET based application or mobile based application or embedded application, doesn't matter that either ML language or IoT based application, doesn't matter for us. About our activities, understanding the process model, if you have the clarity, then you can apply to any project. But what are the main stages and the steps that we'll be having that? Yeah, developers, which they are working on their functionality side, the understanding the client requirement, and as per the requirement point of view, is defining, that is designing and as well as implementing, high level designing, low level designing, the classes, and the database structures, identifying that is schemas. But end of the day, whether one, are you going to have only one developer who is implementing that? No, right? We'll be having that, the group of the team members. Like maybe 10, 15, or 100, or 20, we don't know that. That is on the basis of the project and the functionalities and enhancements of that application. But end of the day, all the developers, they are working for the single project, and that a project code has to be managed in the repository. One central storage server. S3, if you just talk it, S3 is a storage, right? Where you can use it through URL based. You can upload the files or you can download the files. Like that, we need to use it some central repository where we can store it about our source code. That is, source code repository is required. But any developer updating the code to the source code repository. So we should not leave it as we need to define that the health monitoring on these source code repository, that is health checkups, we can say. If any update is happened, that means some update is received. Immediately we need to check it. The code, whatever the developer is committing, that the code is following that all the standards or not. And the code which has been committed by the developer, is it having any issues or not? Or maybe the code which has been received, is it giving that impact to that other developer's code or not? And the code which has been updated to the repository, is it properly working it or not? So all that's evaluations required. Yeah, the developer, he says my code is ready and he is updated to that repository is nothing, but we need to start the pipeline. But how the pipelines will be monitored, or how these source code repositories will be monitored? As a human being, as like engineers, we don't monitor the 24/7, right? That is not at all possible as a manual activities. So we use it with some CI servers like Jenkins. Yeah, we need to know that how to configure these CI servers to monitoring about these source code repositories. And any update is happened, immediately this CI server, that is Jenkins, has to start the pipeline. Pipeline is the main evaluations, evaluation and acceptance. But what are the evaluations? Is it code, is it having any errors or not? That is a compilation verification. And code is following that, the code who has implemented, the developer is following that all the standards or not. That is verifying the code quality. Suppose if the developer has defined that any username and passwords within the code, that is security vulnerability, right? The password should not be defined within the code. But by mistake, he has added the passwords within the code. We need to catch it immediately and we need to send that, boss, this is a security violation. Please change the code and do the modification and recommit back. Yeah, developers, what are the mistakes they are going to do, that is we are going to catching in the process. Either he's having the compilation error from his code, or either he's not following the coding standards as the client requirement. Yes, we need to check that. That is a verification. So that is evaluations. And if all the evaluations are okay, approve it. Otherwise, stop the process and send the message to the send immediately message to the developers who has committed the code. But this code quality, what do we call in the process model, is static analysis. Keep that the words. Yeah, static analysis, we will call it that. It is why we do say that like static analysis is, it is just code scanning. Suppose whenever we enter into the malls and they do that scanning, right? As security, that to verify that, is they do the scanning. That is just a high level scanning. That the same like a code, whatever it has been updated here, the code scanning will be done. That's we say the static analysis. Yeah, so code, is it having any errors or not? And code, is it following that all the standards as per the client requirement or not? So verification. And next, unit test cases. Already you know that this keyword. Yes, the developers, they implement their test cases. Suppose if I am one of the developer and you are one of the developer, and whatever the code I am writing, that's my functionality, I need to verify thoroughly, is it working it or not. But blindly implementing and giving the code to the testing team, no, that is not the point, right? If the testing team are going to catch the more test failures from about your code, then about your performance will be impacted. So from about your functionality, the testing team, if they have thus like the less failure cases, then about your code is, or about your performance is very good. But if they are catching the more failures from about your functionality, then in the appraisals that will be impacted. Yeah, so before giving the code to the testing team, or before integrating my code with my other developers, I need to verify my functionality. So that is unit test cases. Yes, if the unit test case is failed, then stop it and send the mail to the developer. But who is going to do that? All the things. That is CSR. Yeah, if the unit test cases are passed, then promoting to the next stage. What is the next stage? That is a packaging. What is this packaging? Normally source code, it is kind of like yeah, it is not executable file. You cannot run it. But if you'd like to run this source code on the servers, you need to convert into the package file formats. Package file formats. Suppose some of the softwares, whenever we are downloading, we receive the .exe file or a .gif file or a .tar file. Why they are giving this in the package file format? They can give the directly one folder, right? Which contains all the software related files. No, they don't give like that. They do the packaging. And whenever we are installing is nothing but the package file will be extracted. The background into the temporary folders or into the specific folder. Like that, any project which you are working that, the project source code, if you like to deploy that application to the servers, you need to package it. So as per the Java application, Java packaging models are the different, and if it is the .NET application, .NET packaging models are the different, and yeah, the Python based or Node.js based. The packaging on the base of this application code, the packaging models are the different. We need to do the packaging. So we can say there are the binary files. So this is about source file. Source file is developer's code. But developer's code directly you cannot run it on the servers. The developer's code you need to package it. After verifying that all these cases, then we need to package it. That is a binary file. Binary file is a release file or deployment file. But these binary files also we need to store it somewhere, right? We should not keep it on the local systems. So we use the repository for it. What do we call these repositories? Artifactory repository. Source code repositories. That is a developer's related code to manage it. But source code, you cannot use it as a delivery or deployment point of view. That source code has to be converted into binary files. But binary files also, we need to store it in the repositories for the distribution. So here source code is among the development team, and these artifact files is to deploy to the number of servers, number of machines. This environment that is required to distribute to that number of environments, number of servers, like a development to the staging or testing, and then to that SIT or UAT, and then finally to the production. But how do you distribute that? The application, we create artifact and artifacts which will be stored in the repository. From the repository, we'll download it and we'll deploy to the servers. Yeah, once these packages are done, then we need to go for deployment. Deployment to the servers and then running the post-deployment test cases. These test cases, unit test cases, will say that pre-deployment, yes, before packaging and before deploying to the server, what are the test cases you are running that from the development team, but who will give these test cases? That is development team. So these test cases, we will call it as a pre-deployment test cases. Yes, you need to ask that once you join to the project, and you need to sit with the development team and you need to ask that. So what is the code quality tools that you are using? or if they are using some .NET, but you don't know the .NET, then you should ask us what are the like build process you are doing that. Give me the steps or the commands, what you are doing that, which tool you are using to perform the build. Yes, you need to coordinate with the teams. So if you more coordinate it, then we get the more information and more solutions we can provide it. Because we are here, we are going to talk with the Java specific application. It's a demonstration point of view. But once you join that, maybe you are going to work with the .NET or maybe the Node.js, or we don't know it. But the developers are there. Who knows already about that? The source code is there, is nothing but backend developers are there, right? Yes, you need to sit with the development team. Boss, okay, source code once you once it is ready, what you are doing? What are the steps you are doing there? How do you do the compile? How do you verify this code quality? Do you have this any pre-deployment test cases? So if you have this, like how you are running the pre-deployment test cases, or if it is a source code based, what is the packaging model that we'll be having? And these packages, how do we deploy it? What are the servers are you using that? So this concept, we need to have it in the process wise. So you should think in this way, but we are not restricted to the only Java or .NET or so-and-so XYZ application. So DevOps is a process which is going to have in each and every project, whether it is web applications or the mobile-based applications or the gaming-based applications. Yeah, so pre-deployment test cases and post-deployment test cases. So we need to approach it, and what are the tools they are using, the tools we need to set up that. And if you completed all these stages, that we can say the integration has been done. But to complete all these activities, what are the tools we are going to learn it is? Yeah, next we are going to start it. First, we should know this one, source code repository. That is Git and GitHub. We are going to discuss that. But next I'm not going to talk at the Jenkins to define this all the process. Because if I learn it the Jenkins and if I define all the stages, yes, I can complete within the 10 days. I'm very happy with that. But you don't understand anything what we are going to do. So what we are going to do is, each tool we are going to take it and we are going to, each stage, whatever we are going to define in the process model, we take that each stage and we will get the master on each stage. Then we'll go for that, combining all these stages in the process. Yeah, first GitHub. Then here, this is related to that about our application code and application related the process model. So how do we do that application compilation? How do we do the application code quality verification? How do we run that unit test cases? How do we do the packaging? And packaged application, how do we deploy it? That is also on running the test cases. So here, if you have this application somewhat idea, then we can work with this all these stages. So what is that? The application program which you're going to use it in Java. We are going to work for the demonstration using the Java applications. How do you compile it? How do we run the code quality? How do you use it? Unit test case execution. How do you do the packaging? Packaged files, how do we deploy it? Deployed files, how do we run it with the test cases? So these concepts we are going to learn it that. But before that, before running that all these application and application related the stages, suppose if I would like to deploy of this application, I need to set up the servers like a Tomcat, database servers, proxy servers, that is Nginx or Apache, And if you would like to do that, running unit test cases, or compilation, or packaging, we need to have the infra required, right? Machines required or not? Yeah, servers required. We know it already. How do we get it the infra from the cloud, AWS? But that cloud, now we are not going to do that manually, launching the EC2 instances and all the stuff. So we are going to learn that Terraform scripts for it. Yeah, once after knowing that GitHub, then we are going to start it. If you need the Maven build server machine, or a deployment servers, or a databases, or Nexus servers, or SonarQube servers, as any server if it is required, we are going to use a Terraform to manage that's all this infra. That is launching the virtual machines with this, the systems ready. We know user data concept, right? What is the user data in EC2?
Additional information. While launching the EC2 instance, we use that to start the servers.
Yeah, to install the packages or to...
Yes, to install it.
Yeah, to install the packages, to start the services. While boot up time, while launching the system, if you have any additional the commands to execute it, which we use the user data section. Yeah, with that user data models and EC2 instance with the AMI approaches, we are going to work with the Terraform. And the Terraform is the second tool we are going to learn. Yes, GitHub and then Terraform. Then once we discuss the Terraform, then we'll come back understanding about application, how do we build it? There's a build tool, that's a Maven. Then deployment server, that is a Tomcat. Then Nginx. Here the deployment, 3 tools we need to discuss that. We are going to discuss that Tomcat server, database, that is a MySQL. That is a 3-tier architecture, whatever we are talking that, the 3-tier architecture application, we are going to deploy it. Proxy layer, that is Nginx, and then a middleware layer and a database layer. So deployment itself is the 3 tools which we should know it to deploy one application. But before deploying that application, how do you do the packaging? But before the packaging, how do you run the unit test cases? And before that, how do we check the code quality? And before that, how do we compile it? So the GitHub, which we are going to talk it, and after this, which we are going to discuss the Terraform. After the Terraform, then we'll come back to that application. What is the Java? Application, how do you perform all these stages? So here almost 4 or 5 tools we are going to learn it. What are those? After the Terraform, Maven, Tomcat, MySQL database, Nginx proxy server, Nexus. Yeah, unit test cases to run it like a JUnit.
Docker also, right, sir? For doing the deployment activity, but Docker and Kubernetes no need, right?
Need it, but first we are going to talk it that monolithic application.
Yeah, okay.
See, Docker and Kubernetes now, these are all like the last 3-4 years onwards are available. But what about the before? So first we'll try to understand this the monolithic application. That monolithic application, how do we migrate into the Docker and Kubernetes? So the first we are going to talk it with the monolithic. Then that monolithic application converting into the Docker and Kubernetes. That is, you have the both.
Yeah, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, first in the monolithic, that is a Tomcat, Nginx and MySQL, whatever we are using, the same application, same services, how to manage it with the Docker and Kubernetes. That is, we are going to talk about that. Yeah, the overall, if you just try to understand it, the GitHub, then Terraform, then Maven, then Tomcat, then MySQL database, Nginx server, Nexus server, some unit test cases related. Then delivery or the deployment related, as a delivery deployment point of view, Ansible we are going to talk it, because so once the artifacts are ready, that means once these artifacts are ready and these are all deployed and thoroughly verified, then we need to distribute that artifact to the multiple environments, testing environments on the basis of the client requirement. Yes, we need to distribute that application to the number of servers and run the test cases. If it is passed, then move to the next environment. That means distribute to the next environment and run the test cases, then next environment run the test cases, then finally deploy to the production and run the test case. If all are okay, then confirm it. But how do I manage it? Multiple environments, multiple servers of the same artifacts distribution. So that is next we are going to talk at the Ansible. Ansible we are talking is nothing but delivery or the deployments purpose which we can use it. Yeah, once we know all these concepts, then we'll move to the Docker and Kubernetes. That means same application, whatever we discussed, that application, how do we manage it in the Docker, and that is a container-based solution. After knowing that monolithic application and as well as container-based application, these monolithic or container-based application, how do we define this workflow with Jenkins? So if the client comes with a monolithic application, yes, how to manage it? If the client comes with the Docker and Kubernetes-based application, how to manage these life cycles? That is the final thing that you are going to have it. Yeah, so this is a process model. The tools almost which we need to discuss that still just now started the DevOps process. The writing the code during the Ansible, during the Terraform, during application side. Application side we don't write the code, but yes, we should manage the code in the repositories. Then we should know the Docker files implementation. Then we should know the Kubernetes manifesto files implementations. And then finally, Jenkins files implementations. Yeah, so that is about anyways the journey which are coming that. Are you clear at these points?
Yes, sir. Perfect. Perfect. Yes, sir.
Yeah, good. Yeah, anyway, what are all these points which we had it? That's we are going to have it one by one. Yes, Docker, Kubernetes, and yeah, first we are going to do the manually understanding that manual converting into the automation with the Terraform and Ansible with the shell scripting. Same application, first manual approach, then automation approach, then container-based approach. Docker and Kubernetes. Yeah, so there are all the tools that's we are going to have it. That's already what it these points. Yeah, so that is about the overview, the DevOps before starting. Let me show this pipeline approach. Just a minute. Yeah, let me just conclude in the pipeline format about whatever we are discussing there. Let's quickly go to the pipeline approach, the main stages and the steps. Yeah, the most common flow pipeline is following that. So first, anyone push the code to the repository. Then we need to do the static analysis. Static analysis is nothing but code evaluation. Then we say that pre-deployment testing, terminology is point out. Pre-deployment testing is nothing but running the unit test cases. Then packaging and deploying the application to the testing environment. Then after the servers are ready, then we need to apply the post-deployment. But pushing the code to the repository, yes, the CI tools that we need to use it, which are monitoring about the code repository. And whenever a commit is detected, yeah, the code has to be checked out. That means pull the code and start the pipeline. But what is a pipeline? Whenever we talk it, that is sequence of the stages and the steps. But if you understand this pipeline in the flowchart diagram point of view, yes, not only one developer, multiple developers are going to work with that. But all these developers are working finally for one project. Yes, any developer update the code to the code repository. Code repository is a developer's, this is about client code, right? If the developer has updated some code is nothing but yes. So whether he's following the standards or not, whether his code is it valid or not, whether his code is working as per that expected functionality or not, we need to verify it. That's what we are talking that as a pipeline sequence of the stages. Yes, multiple developers are going to work it, updating to the code repository. And any update is happening here, immediately CI tool has to start it. Yeah, the Jenkins server. So in our context, we are going to talk at the Jenkins, but maybe the client is going to use the different tools. Like we have the Circle CI, we have the Azure DevOps, we have, before this Azure DevOps, they were calling it Team City. Travis is another tool. Bamboo is another tool. And even the AWS team, they have that their own the pipeline tool, that is AWS code pipeline, that service. Like Jenkins, whatever we are going to talk it, that's we have the service from AWS team, code pipeline. The client can use it any one of that, but you should know the process. Yeah, the CI tool has to be used, which is going to help to define the pipeline. But in the pipeline first, pipeline runs with a different set of the task with the goal to verify that the code works as expected. The end of the result is trust. Yeah, so the developers, whatever the code they are committing, that is working as expected or not, that's trust to make sure this pipeline is going to helping that. Yes, as the pipeline as expected it is working, then promote to the next stage. Or if the pipeline got failure, yes, so use that like email notification systems or Slack channels to send the failure notification to the developer who has committed the code. If the whole pipeline run without any failure, the commit is promoted to a release. The candidate that requires additional manual verifications. Yes, if it is required any the manual testing is required from the testing team point of view, that's required, or otherwise auto promotions. Yeah, first stage we are talking about it, the code repository committed, yes, which starts the pipeline. But next stage in the pipeline that's we're expecting is static analysis. Yeah, static analysis goals vary from highlighting possible coding errors to make sure that agreed formatting is followed, formatting and security vulnerabilities. So the different tools that will be used, check style and find bugs for the Java-based application, or Sonar Cube, or JS Lint and JS Hint. These are all for the Node.js based applications. So how do you know that which tool it has to be used? Once you join to the project, you need to approach the development team. So team leader or manager of the development team, you need to approach it. So you need to bring the quality to this process. You should not skip it, all these things. And you need to ask that, yes, I need to implement static analysis. Which programming language are you going to use at that? Okay, if they say that's the Java, then the Java related. Are you already using that any static analysis tools? Or if you are not, then you need to bring that into the process model. So if the project is not having any static analysis, then you need to identify the tool, discussing with the management team, and you need to bring into that to evaluate it or to perform the static analysis in the process. But as per the language, the different tools. But make sure it static analysis is implemented. Yeah, CA tool, any developers commit the code to the repository, then the CA tool is going to trigger the pipeline. In the first stage, what we are expecting is static analysis is performed. That means as we are talking about this is scanning the code. That means without executing the code. Why do we say the static analysis is? It is not going to execute the code. It is just a scanning the files. That's why we say the static analysis. If that is successful, promote to the next stage, or if it is got, yes, failure notification to the developer who made the commit. So once this stage is complete, then what we are saying, the pre-deployment. That is unit test cases. A JUnit is for the Java programming, or PyTest is for the Python programming. And a Node.js application is having its own testing approaches, but that has to be invoked in the process. Yeah, CA tool, any code is updated, yes, CA tool is going to start the pipeline, that is static analysis. If it is successful, then promote to the next stage, that is a pre-deployment testing. But any failures are happened in the stages, then failure notification to the developer who has made the commit to the code. Next, packaging and deployment to the testing environment. Yeah, if it is the Docker, if you are working Docker images. If it is the monolithic application packaging models. Or if it is the mobile-based application, we have that Android APK files, right? Yeah, on the base of that application, and is it a gaming application or mobile application or web application? If it is a web application, which programming language? On the base of the language, yes, you need to create a WAR files or the jar files or the ER files or a zip files or the tar files or exe files. If it is a C# programming, then we do that normally zip file. But zip file contains the DLL files internally. So on the base of the application packaging model, we need to discuss with the development team, and we need to make sure that packaging, if it is a Docker, yes, Docker also is a the packaging model. Yeah, the static analysis, if that is successful, pre-deployment testing, if that is okay, then packaging, and packaging has to be stored in repository. That is in excess, or if the Docker images, Docker Hub. So even that, like Nexus also, we can use it to store the Docker images. So which type of the packaging model you have? That packaging model, where do you want to store it? Why do you want to store it? This is for the distribution. Upload it here and take it from here and deploy to the QA servers, SAT servers, or UAT servers, or production servers. Distribution purpose, this one which we use it. But any failure is happened in the process model, stop the process and send the immediate notification to the stakeholders, like who are the are responsible to moderate or to resolve the issues. So to all the members, we need to send the notification. But all these notifications, how you're going to handle that? With the CI tool. Yeah, so here the package or the container, maybe it is a Docker-based application, Docker container will say, the Docker image will say. If it's a monolithic application, then that APK file or the jar file or the zip file, thus we take it and we do that deployment. So once the packaging is ready and deployment is done, then post-deployment testing. Yeah, once deployed to a test environment, we can execute the rest of the test cases. So those, that could not be run without deploying the application. Yes, the test cases, as we're talking the pre-deployment and post-deployment. Pre-deployment is without deploying what are the test cases you can run it. That's you need to plan it in the pre-deployment. But post-deployment is these will be, these test cases which will be run after deploying the application. So you should get the clarity from the development teams and testing teams. First, which test cases are available before the deployment? So let me know that. Or which are all the test cases are available after the deployment? So on the base of those test cases, you need to plan it before the packaging and deployment. Which test cases I need to run it, or which command I need to use it. And after the server is ready and deployments are ready, then what are the test cases we need to run it. That's you need to get the clarity from the testing team. Yes. So here in the most of the test cases, what are the types of the test cases that will be having there from the testing team? That is a functionality test cases, integration test cases, performance test cases, that is a load testing. So all these test cases which will be planned after the deployment. Yeah, post-deployment testing. Yeah, static analysis, then pre-deployment testing, then package it and package upload to the repository. From the repository, download it and deploy to the staging servers which are planned. Then once this deployment environment is ready, then what are the test cases you have planned it to execute the test cases. Testing team, they use that different tools like Selenium, load runners. So performance testing related. So what are the tools they are using about it? You need to approach them and you need to discuss and what are the main is the commands execution. So in this phase, so if they say the Selenium to this CI tool, how do I integrate with the Selenium and how do I run the Selenium scripts? So that's which we should discuss with the testing team. And CI tool point of view, you should know how do we integrate with the Selenium. That is by referring the Google documentation. How do I integrate the Jenkins with the Selenium server or load runner or some XYZ server which they are using. That is you need to explore from about our side. But once the server has been integrated with the Jenkins pipeline, but what are the commands I need to run in it? Where are the test cases? So that's you need to approach with them, the testing team, and you need to run the test cases. Yeah, finally, so if this is done, what we are saying that continuous integration is done. But continuous integration is not enough. Delivery and the deployment is also important, right? What is the difference between the delivery and deployment?
Delivery is manual approach, deployment is automatic approach.
Yes, delivery is manual approach and deployment is automation approach. Yes, in the process, if you have this any manual involvement, the manual verification, suppose like once this application functionality is ready, all the functionalities, we cannot go ahead with the 100% verifying with the automation. Suppose if the telecom domains, all the test cases are not possible with the automation. So it is required some manual verification. But in the process, if there is a manual involvement or manual approval is there, then that's we say that process model is delivery. But if you would have defined that's like automation approaches, that's we say the deployment. Yeah, delivery pipeline is in most cases the same as one we would use it for the CI, but here it is going to have it some manual approach. But in other words, every successful run of the pipeline can be deployed to the production. No questions should be asked. If you have defined that this kind of the process, we say that deployment, that is automation approach. Yeah, delivery is manual promotion to the production. And the deployment is no more questions should be asked until to delivering to the production, no manual involvement. Yeah, so delivery process model, the continuous delivery pipeline. Yes, once continuous integration is done, so we need to define that delivery pipelines that runs different set of the tasks with the goal to verify that the code works as expected. And the final steps in the pipeline is deployment to the production environment. Whether the delivery model or deployment model, that is on the basis of the use case, you need to handle it. But finally, delivering or deploying this application to the production environment, that change. If some failure is happened, failure notification. If the successful, then promoting to the production. If the whole pipeline is run without any failure, commit is promoted to a release. That's to the production environment. Yeah, continuous deployment process. If you try to understand the flow, so this is the flow of execution. Yeah, static analysis, then pre-deployment, packaging, package upload to the repository, then download it to that and apply to the QA environment, or run it all the test cases which are planned here. And if it is successful, then take the same artifact and apply to the production servers and run the production. And that means post-deployment test cases to the production. If all are okay, then fine. Otherwise, stop it and send the failure notification. But here we are talking this one more concept, that's a proxy. What is this proxy? So whenever you are updating the change in the deployment process, that means without having any downtime, you are applying this change to the production is nothing bad. If any end users are accessing that, end users are going to have the impact, right? There's normally downtimes will say that. But without having the downtime, we can use it about our load balancers. If you observe that about our Route 53, can be used as a proxy with the weight-based algorithm that is managing about it. We have some deployment strategies. That is a canary deployment, blue-green deployment. So using those deployment strategies, you can redirect the testing to the production to the testing environment. So without having the downtime strategies, like in the auto scaling group, we are observing this, right? If you remember that, without having any downtime of the application, if the template has been updated, we were refreshing the instances with the latest template version. The same concept here. With the load balancer, we need to manage it, the backend routing to the and routing the request to the backend services. That is a load balancers or Route 53 approaches. In the Kubernetes world environment also we have that. Yes, we are going to talk it, rolling update, rollback. The strategies which we should apply it. without having any downtime to apply the changes to the current environment with the latest version. Yeah, so finally, this is the pipeline that's we are expecting that. Are you clear about this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So this pipeline model, whenever we are going to talk it, so we have the monolithic approach. Yes, monolithic application packages, what would the package and how to deploy it and how to manage it that in the process model. And as well as if it's the Docker or Kubernetes based application, how do you do the packaging and where do we manage it and downloading and deploying to the container based solutions. Yeah, on the base of that, is it a microservice based application? Is it a monolithic based application? And is it a cloud infra or is it on-premises environment? So we need to use it, yes, infra model. So total 3 layers, remember that always whenever we are talking that as a cloud solutions, what are the cloud or different services? Infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. So if you are setting up that all the servers which are required for this pipeline to deploy that application is nothing but that is infra. But once the servers are ready, if that application type is a Java environment, you are setting that. If the application is a .NET environment, you are setting on those servers. We say that is a platform. Getting the ready of the Java environment, getting ready of the Python environment before deploying that application. Or if it is the mobile-based application, that mobile environment, you need to set up that. But to run that mobile application, infra is required, servers, storages, the networks. Yeah, infra, that is with the Terraform, platform, that is with Ansible, with the shell scripting. And finally, application, Java with the monolithic application or Java with the container-based applications. Yeah, the wait and see, that's you are going to have it all these points. Yeah, so this is the starting, understanding that what we are going to have it in our DevOps process. Are you clear at this point? Is it good?
Clear, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good. As of now.
Okay, good. Yeah, so the next tool, so what we need to do the is, which we need to start, code repository. That is a Git and GitHub. Shall we start tomorrow, this tool?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Start tomorrow.
That is very interesting. First of all, code repository. That is very interesting, sir. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Tomorrow,
very,
sir, we can start.
yeah, very important one. But anyway, that is we have long sessions on each tool. Don't worry that you are going to have it detailed the tool. That's why, I mean, if you like to conclude that, if you are in a hurry, say that I can conclude it within the 20 days, this entire life cycle. Or if you say that's I need the detail and as a master level, then it takes like 35 to 45 days, 40 days. But all these one by one, the first understanding that the GitHub that requires around.
Sir, we will go in detail.
Yes,
way,
sir,
sir.
we'll go in detail.
Anyway, excess of 10-15 days, that's not an issue. Sir.
Oh, okay.
We will go in detail only.
Yeah, sure,
As
sure.
these
Definitely.
are to be discussed in elaborate way. We'll go in detail way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, sir. We are
Actually,
expecting. Yeah.
okay, good. No issues. Thank you. Anyway, that's my approach is the detailed approach, no issues. But if you have this like some time limitation, then let me know. Then how do we close it? This one also we know it. But yes, if you have the patience and learning the things, then definitely we see this one by one. The deeply and understanding that as a process wise, which is required. See, normally how they are doing this is they are directly starting about the Docker. So, which I observed that's in the outside. They are saying this within the 2 months they can close it. The DevOps, yes, they can close it. Yes, we can close it. But they started directly the Docker and Kubernetes. But without knowing that the first manual approach, what exactly is happening, the background, and yes, why these Docker and Kubernetes, Docker and Kubernetes are running is nothing but they are like a easy way to manage it. But first you should know hard way. If you know hard way, then whenever you are working that's easy approaches, then easily you can apply that. So first manual, and manual to this now, that's yes, monolithic application to microservice based application, and that's applying that on the cloud infra and on-premises infra. These use cases and scenarios, always keep that in the mind. Some clients, they come up with that, boss, we don't have the cloud. Do you work it on the on-premises to defend the CICD process? Yes, we should work it. Or some clients, they come up with that, boss, we are having the only AWS. Are you okay with us to work with that AWS services? They don't use it, the Jenkins and all this. Yes, I know the process and I can apply that. If you give that confidence, they are happy. Because we should not restrict it, okay, I will work it only on AWS, only with Jenkins. No, you should not say that. But from about our side to explain to the interviewer or wherever it is required, from about our side, we should have, okay, I have been working on these AWS services infra with these tools on, I know that how to manage the monolithic applications and container-based applications. And I can learn it any tool, because the DevOps, if you go for that officially, 52 tools are available in the market. But we are going to deal it maximum around 15. So overall in this process, we have so many tools, alternative tools. But suppose Jenkins, if you talk it, some people they use the Jenkins, some people they use the TeamCity, some people they use it cruise control, some people they use some clients, people in the same client here. Some clients they use the GitHub Actions itself as like a Jenkins pipeline. Some clients they use it, GitLab itself is a pipeline. They use that like GitLab pipeline. But there are the different approaches, but objective is the same. So if you know the process model with objectives, but that objective, which tool you are using to apply that, that is on the basis of the client tool is going to changing that. But from about outside, whenever we are explaining that, yes, I have been working on this tool and I know the process models to manage it. And if you are able to tell that with the confidently, then if they have this other tool also, then they give the chance to you. That's why self assistance or self, improvement or individual performer, they are expecting that. Because, and especially in the service-based companies, if you are working that, maybe you'll work it some days for one client, and yes, once the client the work completes, then you need to move to that another client. But maybe another client, he comes with a different requirement. So are you flexible to work with that or not? Are you going to accept this challenge or not? Are you ready to take it to that process model and applying that as a client, the tools applying this in the process or not? Process is the same. That's why in this diagram, we discussed about the terminology. But in the Java wise, we say that is compilation. But if you go for the Python, we don't see that compilation. So programming to programming, environment to environment, client to client, process to process. Terminologies are the different, objective is the same. So if you know that the detailed process models, and if you are going to apply that one time using that some specific tools, the common tool, there are the common tools which will be having that most of the clients. But on the base of that, like some banking applications, and on the base of like domains, the telecom domains, so some tools, different tools they use it with a different infra. But we should ready to accept the challenge. But to accept the challenge, you should know that one time the getting about that exposure on all these tools with the process. Then you can apply. Okay, so anyway, so that is agenda which we are going to have it one by one, all these points. So we'll see that. Yeah. We'll start it tomorrow. That is the version controlling tool. Yes, what is the importance and why do we need to go for it? The why we are going to start the first the version controlling tools. This will come back to that. Yeah, if you have those any pending activities, try to work it and go ahead. And if you have those any queries, questions, please let me know. Then we'll wind up for today. Yes, any queries, questions?
Okay.
Excited to know that all these DevOps tools. So far, which we got it is just like basic pillars. Now you know that infra, okay, about virtual machines, the storages, what is a load balancer, and what is like auto scaling group, and a monitoring tool that is a CloudWatch, some log aggregation approaches. Yes, there are concepts we got it on the infra level, but process level, how do you work with that? And the Linux and the shell scripting, that is system level, if you would like to do some automations. Yeah, now it starts with that shell scripting, whatever you are learning that. So if you didn't know that, or if you didn't recollect it, go back and review once again the shell scripting. Whenever we start the Terraform with the shell scripting, we are going to do this more activities. If I say the Terraform apply, my system is ready with all the requirements to deploy my application. So refer that the shell script one more time. That is required. Anyway, Linux commands, that's fine. And AWS, yes, try to complete that project and get exposure about security groups and as well as the AMI concepts with EC2 instances, subnets with the networking gateways. Because Terraform, whenever we are going to work with that, these concepts will come back. Yeah, so that's the concepts. Yeah, any queries, questions?
Sir, can you give us the access to the DevOps PPTs, old forum links?
Old forum link. Okay, DevOps. Yeah, we just started, right? Okay, we'll give the permission.
Yes, sir. Okay, okay.
Yeah. Good. Any other points? Yeah, thanks to all. That's all from my side for today. So we start tomorrow the version controlling. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody.